If I wasn't there, it didn't happen. And I thought that was a very, very good way to put it. In her case, that was true. But I started to feel that way about financial crises. If I wasn't there, it didn't happen. I go back to the Herstatt Bank collapse in 1974, which was a shock. That was back before that was a foreign exchange crisis, but it highlighted the fact that when European banks closed and the U.S. banks were just opening, if you had a failure here, it never settled over here. It wasn't real-time settlement. So there was just all these open positions of a bank that had just failed. The S&O crisis in the 1980s, the Latin American debt crisis, the early to mid 1980s, the flash crash in 1987, the Mexican tequila crisis, 1994, long-term capital, Russia, 1998. Of course, I negotiated that bailout dot-com crash, 2007 mortgages, 2008, everything falls apart, 2020, COVID, and now today. So I don't know if I'm a magnet for trouble, but I've seen my share of financial crises. And as an analyst, they have certain things in common. The entities are always different, the currencies are always different, but the dynamics are very much the same. And the one thing I can say to our viewers is that this is not over. There's been a little bit of a sigh of relief. Stock market rallied a little bit toward the end of beginning of April. And okay, that's a normal reaction. But any thought that the problem's been solved, the bailout's complete, you're not going to hear more, is just not true. There's more coming. Get ready for it. I can't tell you. I'm not going to pick a specific name, and we all know the names of the big banks that might be in distress. Is Deutsche Bank or Barclays or HSBC, Santander. I'm not picking on any of them. I'm just saying that there are more dominoes waiting to fall. The really interesting part about this, and again, we can come back to the specifics, is that the dominoes falling is a good metaphor. It's, if you got 100 dominoes, you knock the first one, they're all going to fall. That's just physics. So how do you stop that? How do you stop that crisis? Well, you truncate, you drop a steel wall between two dominoes, and this one hits the wall and this one's still standing. But that's the bailout. But the problem is each crisis tends to get bigger than the one before, which means each bailout gets bigger than the one before. My question that I'm wrestling with, are we now at the point where the needed bailout is bigger than the capacity of the central banks, that they've pulled all the rabbits out of the hat, played all their cards? And again, this goes back to what I did say about the Silicon Valley Bank rescue. It is the biggest bailout in history, and I can explain why. But if that's the case, and what else do they have? And then, so now we're dangerously close to the point where, as the crisis gets worse, it's no longer, oh, gee, let's wait for the Fed to bail it out, or let's wait for the ECB to bail it out. You get to the point, I think we're there, where you say, no, these guys actually can't stop it. And you lose confidence in the currency itself. It's the dollar. The crisis is the dollar itself, and the euro, goes along with that. And then that's the crisis. And there's no way to bail out a dollar crisis with dollars, because you're just pumping more of what people have lost confidence in. And then, then where do you go? And there are good answers to that. We've seen it again. We've seen it all before, but you have to kind of take the timeline out to 1,000 years, or the 1350s with the failure of the Bardi and Peruzzi banks in Florence, to see how these things can really play out. So this is big. It's not over. The regulators will attempt more bailouts, but we're at the point where I think you can start to question the regulators themselves.
Just want to say that you have recorded a video where you go really deep on this, on the upcoming crash that you say is going to be fast, bloody, and unavoidable, but you also explain how people can position themselves to profit from it. Again, people can watch that video at londonreal.tv/Jim. I highly recommend everyone watch that video. It won't be available on socials. Hey, it's Brian Rose, founder of the DeFi Academy. I've told you my 4-week crypto bootcamp is amazing, but don't take my word for it. This is what my students are saying.
The DeFi Academy was an amazing experience for me. It took me totally out of my comfort zone.
In this course, I was challenged, I was held accountable, and pushed to do things that honestly weren't always easy.
It's been phenomenal, and I can't believe we're already up on our 4 weeks. It has flown by.
Going through this DeFi accelerator by far was one of the best courses I've taken.
You do this course, you really get into the nitty-gritty of the activities that will make you comfortable with decentralized finance.
Thank you so much to Brian and everyone at London Real and the DeFi Academy for even putting together an amazing course like this.
Anybody else that wants to do it, please sign up. It is well worth the money.